Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back with Malifaux and Weird's, I believe it is the 10th anniversary model, Aionus. Olive Skin 09221. So Aionus is pretty much the personification of time and something of a trickster god type character. According to his one entry in the Ripples of Fate rulebook, he interferes with the time stream and the events of mortals when he feels like, doing what he feels like, and is beholden neither to chance nor fate. He does pretty much what he wants to do, and that's about it. He's a henchman in the second edition. I've heard something about him becoming a master, but I'm not certain. Because, you know, internet rumor and all that. But he also came fully assembled. And you can see underneath the base is actually translucent yellow plastic, which I've already covered up in a desire to do my usual. Okay, let's see here. And pretty much just terrifyingly creepy old man in a cloak, who happens to have pretty much godlike powers. Though his in-game abilities are obviously more limited than what he's probably fully capable of, just for the sake of balance, which is necessary in a game. Okay. It's got his skin tone, so let's start on the clock with Tarnished Steel 09206. A lot of the already painted official stuff I've seen of this character show the clock is one color, but I want to do something a little more visually interesting. So look at this face here with its hands. The pendulum that is swaying out of it. All the other pendulums inside, and this framework kind of in the bottom on the sides. That's pretty good. Need to let that dry for a bit before moving on. That's a start. Next up, Uniform Gray. This is an Army painter color. If you hear any buzzing, there's just it's just the groundskeeping crew that the homeowners association at my place hires to tidy up once a week. Just happens to be on Wednesdays when I'm the most active with painting, so nothing I can really do about that. So yeah, this is another model where maybe a partial assembly would have been advisable, but again, it also came fully assembled, so I could not have done a partial assembly even if I wanted to. I think I got some on his face, but I'm just going to roll with it at this point. It's going to be a little tougher to get on camera because of the angle I have to use to get a coat on it. I was thinking olive green for a little bit, but decided to go with gray at the last minute. Thinking it'd be more suitable for something, and yeah, that's a little more accurate since he's not technically human, it's just taking the shape of a human. That manipulates time. Think of talking about time manipulation, you're thinking either bright colors or completely neutral, nothing towards one extreme or another there, or nothing in between those two extremes. I'm starting to get tongue-tied. You also think a lot of random spinning clocks that appear out of nowhere. Which actually has nothing to do with the passage of time other than for people to mark it for our own convenience. That's not too bad. Now, antique gold 09050. I see a bare spot on the leg, so some of that olive skin will just take care of that real quick. So you need to do some touch-ups already with the gray. Take care of that. Well, and antique gold, which I've already, oh boy, I'm in trouble when I forgot what I just did. Being careful with this around the hands. I'm going to start on the areas I have to be the most meticulous with. Here are the hands and feet. And I want to make the clock more elaborate than how it appears in the official artwork I've seen both in the book and on the thumbnails of this model in the web store. There's always a major difference between seeing just a picture of a model on the internet and seeing it hand or in person. And there will be another color both on Aionus and the clock, and I need to just get this base coat down first. Little feet here. Too much water, not enough paint there. Trying to be very deliberate with my brush work. Alright. Let that dry, then I can do the next base coat. And I just noticed I dropped over 1,500 frames on this past 6 seconds, so boom. Okay, let's see if I can avoid dropping hundreds to thousands of frames a second this time. Leather white 09062. Which is plugged up. This will be the last base coat though. So just clear that with a paper clip. If I can get the paper clip to cooperate. There we go. So this is an off-white. Starting on the beard, I think. And the lawnmower goes right by my window. Well, still better than when I had that psychopathic neighbor a few months ago screaming at her daughter and threatening people. I am still literally having flashbacks about that thing. And getting all these swirly, bulging pieces. Kind of blends into everything else physically. I kind of think that's the point. This is not intended to be some solid construction, but rather a fluid, or almost organism-like thing, as fluid as time itself. I think that sounded just really weird. But Aionus' entry does mention the infinite potential of the future inevitably falling away as it becomes the past. Well, that didn't take nearly as long as I thought it would. And this is going to go on the base. Again, more custom sculpting. I decided to go for a rough clock face here. So, just get that while I'm at it. And then once that all dries up, I can start shading. Time to shade. 09088 Stormy Gray. Going to thin this out with 1 part water to 1 part paint. When doing your base coats, you want to start on the lowest portion of the model and go to the highest. Shading high to low. The highlights low to high. Well, I just nicked the beard, but that's going to be okay. I can touch that up. Just going over the gray with the slightly darker gray. So, and that happened. Talking technique here. And I somehow just managed to get a thumbprint in the white here, which is still drying. So just try to touch that up a bit. When talking technique and color selection, your base coat's basically going to be the color you want it to be in the end. The shade will be a darker version, and you're thinning it out so it pools in the recessed areas of the model. And then your highlight will be a lighter version of your base coat, and will be applied with a dry brushing technique so that it ends up only on the highest portions of the model. Okay. I'm getting paranoid about my frame rate drop here after what happened fairly early on, with suddenly blinking and finding I had dropped nearly 1600 frames. And I see that the paint is starting to drip off the tail end of the coat. That's fine. Or cloak. He's wearing a long rag. That. Okay. I It's a pretty solid coat there. And then Ancient Bronze 09049. Going to be very limited in the colors I can do simultaneously, so this will go on a little more easily than the base coat, because it'll flow around and go into many of the recessed areas pretty much on its own to a certain extent. And if this meshes with the white, that's fine. I don't particularly want to do a wet on wet on this model. That would be an option. Wet on wet shading can give some interesting effects, but it will also cause the paints to blend together more. So I suppose that would mean making it look a bit more like a watercolor. So that's an option, just keep it in mind. Be mindful of it if you want to avoid it, but also be mindful of it if you want to try it. So, gonna let that dry before moving on. Alright, things are still drying, but it's dry enough I can move on, and if it blends a little bit, I think that might work with this model. Olive Skin Shadow 09220. Which is horribly clogged. Just clog. Being very careful on the face, because I would rather not get this on the beard if I can avoid it. A little bit on there, but that's okay. That bubble popped. Trying to make sure I get the underside as well where applicable. Sort that bit there. And Blackened Steel 09205. Get the pendulums and the inner workings of the clock here. Is it a doomsday clock? Well, very well could be. Okay. Not too bad. Maybe a bit more right there. Alright, let that dry and get the last shade. The last shade. 09061 Linen White. Outside of that one clip where I dropped over 1,600 frames in a matter of seconds, this has gone very well. Beard looks a bit like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, I suppose. Clock interior there, trying not to hit the steel. Not too badly anyway. Going over the wisps on the back. So far, so good on the frame rate. And outside of following the trope, part of my reason for doing a sort of abstracted clock face here was to show, since I like to do with this basing, a location where this character could appear. I wanted to reflect he could appear anywhere at any time he wanted. Essentially showing what it might look like if he suddenly teleported in. So I imagine the designers pictured something much more subtle, like him just simply popping up, in a literal sense, just there one second, not the next. Okay. Once that completely dries, I can do some details, highlight, and wrap this up. Alright, getting a few details before I move on with the highlighting. So matte white, this is a Warpainter color, or Army Painter Warpaint. And I'm just carefully dotting in his eyes. And he is just going to have pure white. No pupil, no iris, just pure white, and then pure black 09037. Going back to Reaper Master for a bit. Which I think that's enough. Going to thin this out a little bit. Not quite a shade though. I get this in these. These, when I sculpted them, these were intended to be like clock hands, but kind of gone off kilter already. So I am just going to roll with it. My decision to thin this out a bit was so it would flow a little better. Take the towel and blot that out here somewhat. Try to fill it in again. Okay. Alright, that'll do. Now once it's dry, I can highlight and wrap this up. Alright, things are dry enough I can highlight and wrap up. So, put that there in olive skin highlight 09222. Using a dry brushing technique. Taking a ragged feathered brush. Maybe not that one, I want to save that for later. So it looks kind of like this. No water, just straight paint and rub on a paper towel till it looks like there's nothing left. Get that out of the way. And then I'm going to dust the area to be affected. Focusing on the most readily visible areas. bit more subtle than I remember it being the last time I used it, but that's alright. Thoroughly cleaning out the brush. We're just going to set it aside for now, and Misty Gray 09090. My concern is going to be the most readily visible areas here. So they don't really sell brushes like this, but most brushes will end up like this with use. So you see I'm going against the raised areas on the cloak, which helps this catch better. And just a bit there. And that's good. See, the white I think is going to be one of the last colors I do. So, True Silver 09207. I almost went with bronze instead of this, but decided the bronze would not stand out enough from the gold, which I knew I wanted to do from the get-go. So, make sure I haven't dropped thousands of frames already. There was never too much of this from the get-go, so... Now going for the gold with new gold 09051. Keeping my eye on my computer because I was starting to hear the noises I've been hearing when it decides to start dropping hundreds of frames a second, which I'd rather not have happen. Again, my focus is on the most readily visible areas of the clock. So the parts underneath Aionus I'm not going to worry about too much. Again, going against the erased areas. And Ghost White 09063. Going to need a fair amount of this because it is one of the more dominant colors on this model. Again, going against the raised edges here. Refreshing the paint as needed. Well, that backfired. Going around the base as well. You know what, if that looks a little misty, that's fine. That's highlights completed already. Last step is going to be take a flathead brush. Round heads are what I use for most of the work here. But if I can get a grip on them, we'll get these out of the way. Still haven't dropped more than one frame. That's good. That's great, in fact. So pure black again, 09037. That didn't sound healthy. Now just carefully lining the edge of the base just to clean it up. Just getting a nice, even finish all around. If you were using flock or any other similar material, you would do this before adding that. The December Acolytes video I did does show a flocking technique near the end, though in a more limited fashion than you would do with using that as your basing. Alright, there we go. Aionus, I think it's the 10th anniversary model. It might be 15th, but in any case, personification of time and its inevitability. Continuing with something from the very first book. But until next time, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing out.